The story begins with Nini, whose mind is stuck on just one thought right now. She's tried running away from him so many times, but she feels like no matter how hard she tries, she can never escape this devil's cage. Even today, just remembering that day sends chills down my spine. The day I came face to face with this devil. So then we see Nini sleeping on the table. Suddenly, her manager comes up to her and says, "Are you daydreaming?" She gets startled seeing her manager all of a sudden. Then her manager tells her, "Hurry up and deliver this food." After hearing her manager, Nini heads out to deliver the food. After delivering it, she stumbles and falls onto a nearby sofa. Seeing such a huge house in front of her, Nini thinks that whoever lives here must be really rich. They can have whatever they want. He can buy it. I might not even be able to afford a part of this house after working my whole life. And here we see that right now, someone else already owns it. Ethan turns off all the lights in his house. Suddenly, she disappears after seeing darkness. Then he realizes that someone is coming closer to him. Then cautiously, she asks, "Who is there? Are you the owner of this house? Forgive me if I have made any mistake." But Ethan has an evil smile on his face and is coming closer to Nini. Ethan gets very close to Nini. Then she realizes that she has collided with someone. Ethan places a hand on Nini's shoulders. Then he holds her hands and pulls her closer to him, placing them on his shoulders. At this time, Nini's heartbeats become very fast due to fear. Then Ethan caresses Nini's face and says to him, "Can I bite you?" After hearing this from Ethan's mouth, Nini is completely surprised and thinks, "Is my game going to end today?" Then, while trying to control herself, she tells Ethan that the owner of the shop will be waiting for me. Please let me go. But Ethan becomes completely obsessed, and while caressing her face, says, "But answer me first." Nini asks, "Why do you want to bite me? Are you a vampire?" Then Ethan tells him, "Not at all." Ethan gently strokes Nini's face and says, "I think you're really sweet. That's why I just can't control myself right now." Nini's face turns completely pale with fear, and she wonders if this empire is full of crazy people like him. Then Ethan runs his hands through Nini's hair, steps back, and says, "Nini, you're not going anywhere until I say so." Hearing this, Nini's breathing speeds up, and she thinks to herself, "No matter what, I have to get out of here." Then Nini asks, "Hey, can you turn the lights on first? I want to see your face." Ethan replies, "And after that, will you listen to me?" Nini nods yes and says, "If I can see you, maybe I won't be so scared of you." Suddenly, Ethan moves really close to Nini again, grabs her hand, leans in, and says, "If you ever lie to me, next time I won't be so gentle with you." Then, suddenly, she kisses the hands that tremble with fear. At that moment, Ethan was just a shadow to Nini. Nervously, Nini says, "I'll wait for you right here." Then Ethan walks away to turn on the lights. But as soon as the lights come on, Nini doesn't waste a second and immediately runs away, thinking, "I've got to get out of here right now." After Nini runs off, Ethan thinks about Nini and says, "Little liar." Then we see Nini running to her part-time job, where Yang, his friend, asks him, "Why does your face look so pale?" Nini makes an excuse and says, "Nothing, I'm just a little tired." Then Yang tells her, "It's okay, you should go home and rest. I'll take care of your part of the work." Then the scene shifts, and she thinks, "He's so handsome. I could totally leave thousands of guys like bread for him." Next, we see Nini rushing to her part-time job, where she does food delivery. As soon as she gets to the restaurant, Jing tells her that today, once again, she's been given inferior. "I have to make a delivery to Ether's house." As soon as Nini hears this, she starts sweating out of fear. That's why this time she takes a weapon with her. She asks him, "So what do you actually want?" Then Ethan says, "You know, Nini, you're just like these peaches, totally sweet." Then she yells at Nathan, "You really need to see a psychiatrist." Ethan then asks, "What do you think, that your opinion matters?" He steps closer to her and says, "My intentions with you aren't as bad as you think." Seeing Ethan come closer, she hesitates but says, "Okay, just one more bite and then you'll let me go." "Ethan." He answers yes to Nini's words, and Nini closes her eyes tightly and asks Ethan, "Where do you want to bite?" Seeing Nini so nervous in front of him, Ethan lovingly caresses Nini's face with his fingers and then coming closer to Nini tells Nini that I want to bite here. Then she shouts at Nathan and says, "You just want to take advantage of my situation. You are a bad person." Then Ethan says, "Nini, if I were a bad person, I would have taken everything from you by now." Then Ethan grabs her face and says, "I don't have that much patience. I'm giving you 3 seconds." Next scene, we see Nini sitting on the sofa. Ethan notices that the last time she ran away from him, Nini hurt her legs pretty badly. So Ethan is putting medicine on her legs. Nini sees the side of Ethan and is surprised. Then after applying the medicine, Ethan moves closer and sits next to Nini. Nini then says she's ready. Right then, Ethan comes closer to Nini and says, "Who said I'm just gonna bite you?" After hearing this, Nini walks away from Ethan in panic. Then Ethan grabs Nini's neck and pulls her closer to him and suddenly kisses her. Nini tries hard to distance herself from him, but Ethan's passion for Nini was so much that despite Nini's efforts, it had no effect on Ethan. After some time, Ethan kisses Nini's cheeks and comes near her ear and tells her, "You are even sweeter than I thought." Nini's eyes fill with tears and she pushes Ethan away from her. While doing it, she says, "You promised me you'd let me go, so can I go now?" Then Ethan says, "I've changed my mind." Then Ethan says, "I've only tested once so far." Then Nini yells at Ethan, "You're lying. You broke your promise." Then Ethan says, "You were the one who broke the promise first. Remember when we met for the first time?" Then Nini comes in recalling how last time she made an excuse about cooking and ran away from Ethan. Then Ethan says, "I gave you the first warning. I was like that. Next time, I won't be so gentle." Then Nathan says, "That means we're even now, so there's no need for us to meet anymore." Then Ethan says, "I'll decide that, not you." Suddenly, Ethan moves closer to Nini and says, "Why don't you come to me? I'll give you wealth, love, and status, whatever you want." But Nini pushes Ethan away and says, "I don't want anything." Then Ethan says, "Don't keep rejecting me like this. I can take things further. I don't want to make things difficult. Ethan is still a big problem for me, but he can really help me. You'll find out how soon enough. But I can't run away from Ethan either." That's when Ethan wipes Nini's tears and says, "You don't want anything bad to happen to the people close to you, right? In return, you just have to listen to everything I say." Nini has no other choice left, so agreeing with Ethan, she says, "I can't always be with you, but whenever you need me, I'll come." Ethan, she listens to what he says and tells him, "Whatever you want, I'm a great lover." Then Ethan, who had brought the weapon for protection, hands it to her and says, "Next time you don't need to bring stuff like this with you." Then Ethan hugs her and says, "This time I'll just punish you and let you go." The scene shifts and we see Nini wearing a mask and angry coming to her part-time job, thinking, "Ethan is seriously crazy. Who yells that loud anyway? What's up?" That's when Yang sees her and asks, "Why are you so late? And why are you wearing a mask on your face?" King, feeling down, asks her, "Did something happen to you in the inferior?" Then Nini tells King about Eastern, saying the person living there is totally crazy. He only let me go today on one condition, that whenever he calls me, I have to go to him. Hearing this, Yang says, "Why don't you just go back to China, because staying here might not be easy for you anymore." Then Nini thinks to herself, about some people, sometimes there are things more important than just staying alive. We flash back to Nini at a police station in China where she finds out her sister has passed away. The police lie to Nini saying her sister used some stuff that's bad for humans, but Nini can't believe her ears. She realizes her sister is being framed for no reason because she was nothing like that. In fact, she was super smart and just focused on chasing her dreams. She had gone abroad to study, but the police weren't willing to listen to a word she said and instead blamed Nini's sister. Nini's eyes welled up and she broke down crying, grabbing the police officer's hand, begging them to properly investigate her sister's case. But the police ignored Nini and walked away. Nini's sister was her only family, and after she was gone, Nini was completely alone in this world. That's why Nini decided to go to that country herself to find out the truth. She arrives, then the scene shifts. The next day, we see Nini heading to her part-time job. There, Yang tells her she has to make a delivery to Ethan's house today as well. Accepting her fate, Nini is on her way to deliver food to Ethan's place, but just then she bumps into Belu, the same Belu her sister had last talked about. Seeing Belu in front of her, Nini thinks, "I can't lose Belu this time," so she rushes away from there in a hurry. Here, Ethan is eagerly waiting for Nini, and seeing Nini coming running like this in front of him, he thinks, "You have come so early today." Then Nini suddenly comes in front of Ethan and asks him, "Are you going to bite me today too?" After hearing this from Nini, Ethan is completely surprised and asks Nini, "Why are you being so impatient? Are you feeling well?" Then she tells Nathan that "I'm absolutely fine. Now let's take a bite quickly." Ethan is completely surprised and thinks that Rini is in such a hurry today.
Why? What's wrong?
Then Nietzsche suddenly grabs Ethan by the collar and pulls him close, kissing him, thinking, I don't have any time at all today, gotta get out of here fast. But Nini coming so close all of a sudden makes Ethan's knees go weak. Then she tells Ethan, I have to go today, but next time I'll cover for this, and quickly runs off. After Nini leaves, Ethan thinks, my knee, you're not in some kind of trouble, are you? Then we see Nini running towards her part. Time to get back to the job. When she sees Bailu sitting right in front of her, young Ni says, you're back so early today. Then Nini asks Young about Bailu. Young Ni replies, how do you know Bailu? She last came here a year ago. At that moment, Nini thinks to herself, right, my sister had an accident about a year ago too. Then Nini watches Bailu closely, noticing she's still trapping some students in her web. A little later, as Bailu is leaving, Nilu keeps her eyes fixed on her and memorizes her car's license plate. She does it, and meanwhile, we see Ethan watching Nini through a nearby camera. Seeing Nini, Ethan's face lights up differently, and he thinks, so you must have some secrets too. Then the scene shifts to the next day, where Nini comes to Ethan's house and puts his delivery on the table in front of her. Suddenly, Ethan comes up from behind and hugs her, which startles Nini. Then Ethan says, you didn't rush in like you usually do these days. Then Ethan's hand. She grabs him and turns to him, saying, you really scared me today. Then Ethan says, I'm not happy at all because of what happened yesterday. Smiling at Ethan, she replies, that's why today, to make up for yesterday, I'm going to let you bite me twice. Hearing this from her, a strange smile appears on Ethan's face, and he says to her, you know I'm the boss in this relationship. After saying that, Ethan moves closer to her and leans in to kiss her neck. Because of that, Nini, feeling nervous, tries to push Ethan away. But at that moment, Ethan pulls her close, hugs her, and says, Nini, what are you made of? I don't know why, but I like you so much that I can't stop myself from wanting to kiss you. I'm scared that my desire to have you is only growing. Then, gathering all her strength, Nini pushes Ethan away and asks, what exactly do you want from me? Ethan smiles and replies, I haven't even done anything with you yet, and look how scared you already are. Ethan smiles and says, do you really think I'm going to hurt you? Then he moves closer to Nini, gently holding her cheeks with his hands, and says, my Nini, I always want to keep you locked up in my room. Nini thinks to herself, what kind of person is he? Then Ethan walks away. The scene changes, and 2 days later, we see Nini deliberately bumping into the students who were trying to trap Bailu, just like they did with her sister. Nini says to them, she needs the job because she's also a student there. They understand that and agree to introduce her to Bailu. Meanwhile, Ethan's eyes are on Nini, who's being closely watched by a security camera, capturing her every move. Actually, Ethan owns the security camera company, so he can watch Nini whenever he tells Bailu to find out about it. Then we see Nini at her part-time job. Just then, she gets a food delivery order from Ethan's house. Young tells her about it, and Nini takes the order and heads out. On her way to Ethan's house, Nini wonders what he could want from her now. Where did I get stuck? But if I want to stay in this country, I have to go along with all this. If I stay stuck here, how will I take care of Bailu? Thinking all this, Nini moves closer to Ethan's place. Just then, Ethan signals. He comes over and asks her to sit next to him. Right then, Nini gets an idea and thinks, why not get Ethan's help to deal with Bailu? She moves closer to Nathan, and Ethan grabs Nini's hand, pulling her close and sitting her on his lap. Then Ethan hugs her and says, I've missed you a lot these past 2 days. Nini replies, I missed you a little too. Then Ethan asks, have you lost weight? Nini shakes her head no. Ethan moves even closer and kisses her on the neck. It seems like Nini's heart starts racing pretty fast. Then Ethan kisses her and says, call me by my name. Nini agrees and calls him by his name. Hearing this, Ethan says, looks like you're agreeing to everything I say today. Then we see Ethan completely lost in Nini. Suddenly, Nini tells Ethan, I need 2 million.
Surprised, Ethan asks, "What are you going to do with 2 million?" Then she says, "I don't want to lie to you, but I can't tell you right now. Once everything is over, I'll tell you everything myself." After hearing Nini, Ethan says, "All right, I'm ready, but what?"
Ethan stops her and pulls her close, saying, "Don't go." Then she tells Ethan that she has to get to her part-time job. Ethan replies, "Maybe you forgot about tomorrow. After that $40 million deal, you're mine now. Don't you want that money anymore?" Nini really needed that money to get to Bailu, so she decides to listen to Ethan and stays put. Then the scene shifts, and we see Ethan bringing Nini along for lunch. Ethan starts putting food on Nini's plate. He says, "You're really thin, so make sure you eat well." Nini starts smiling too. Ethan notices that Nini's fear of him has lessened now. But then suddenly, Nini sees Bailu right in front of her, trying to trap the same student. Seeing this, Nini is completely shocked and thinks that this time Bailu is rushing her work way too fast. "I've got to find a way to get out of here soon." Nini's attention drifts elsewhere, and Ethan asks her what's wrong. Before she can answer, Ethan spots Bailu and quickly makes an excuse to distract her. She does it. She thinks in her mind, before Ethan finds out more about her, she has to run away from him. Then Ethan says to her, "I don't care where you came from or who you are, but after meeting me, you can't go far from me." In the next scene, we see Ethan at his house, where his assistant comes up to him and says, "As you asked, I've found all the information on Bailu. She came to this country 15 years ago. After getting married here, she got her green card. But 7 years ago, she had a boyfriend. He used to trick girls, bring them into this country, and then sell them. A few years ago, the police caught him because of this, and he's still in jail." Seeing this, he comes closer and lovingly kisses Nini on the forehead, saying, "Nini, don't ever let anything happen to yourself, because I'm the only one who could hurt you, but I would never do that." At that moment, Ethan's eyes clearly showed his concern and love for Nini. Then Ethan moves in closer, about to kiss her, when suddenly Nini wakes up. Seeing Ethan so close, she asks, "What are you doing instead of sleeping?" Ethan smiles at her and says, "Just thinking. I was saying that you're really cute. That's why I was looking at you." Then she starts to get up and says to Ethan, "If you think that way, can I go back to my part-time job now?" Ethan says no and tells her, "I'm going out of town for a week, and by the time I get back, you'll have to quit your job." Hearing this, Nini gets angry, stands up and says, "But you promised me I'd come to you only when you called me." Then Ethan shrugs and says, "Well, I've changed my mind now." Hearing Ethan say this, later Nini's face turns red with anger, and she hits Ethan with a pillow, saying, "You're seriously crazy." But Ethan cares about Nini and doesn't want her to get into any trouble. That's why he says, "Tell me whatever you want, I can help you with it." Then Nini yells at him, "I don't need your help." Ethan replies, "You know, Nini, you're my person, so you've got to listen to me." Then Nini says, "I'm going to do whatever it takes to get out of here. I have to go because I can't let Bailu slip through my hands." But she knew that no matter where she tried to run, Ethan was watching her everywhere, so she comes up with a plan. Then the scene shifts, and the next day we see Nini at a shopping mall. She changes her clothes there and completely transforms herself, doing this repeatedly so Ethan can't spot her. By the time Ethan's guards find out about Nini, she smartly puts on a veil and slips away from them. She breaks it and throws it away so Ethan can't find out anything about her, and just like that, Nini manages to slip away from Ethan's sight and runs far from him. Then the scene shifts, and we see that a week later, Ethan comes back and asks his assistant about Nini. You can clearly see the fear in Ethan's assistant's eyes as he nervously tells Ethan that Nini has run away. After hearing this, a strange smile appears on Ethan's face, and his assistant thinks to himself, "Boss is seriously pissed right now." Meanwhile, we have Nini, who's just a student. Using the excuse of a job, she deliberately goes to meet Bailu. Bailu casually asks her, "Are you a classmate of Shifeng?" Nini replies, "Yes." Then, trapping Nialu in her story, she tells her that her mother is really sick and she needs some money for her mother's surgery. After hearing this, Bailu also tries to trap her, thinking she's naive. But what Bailu didn't know was that Nini already knew everything about her. Bailu offers Nini a job and says to her, you can get very good money in this job, but don't tell anyone about this. I have a friend who needs a mistress." Then she says that in this way, you trap the poor students and take advantage of their helplessness in this way. Nini also wanted to know to whom Bailu would send her and who all were involved in all of this. That's why Nini agrees with Bailu. Then the scene shifts, and we see Nini running away from someone in fear in the darkness of the night. His face turns white with fear. When she sees Ethan in front of her, Ethan smiles looking at Nini and says to her, "I told you, Nini, you cannot go anywhere away from me, and now I will lock you in my bedroom to punish you." Nini's heartbeat became very fast due to fear. Then Ethan grabs Nini's neck and pulls him closer and tells him that you are really a very scoundrel. Nini's face becomes completely dry due to fear. No words come out of his mouth. Then Nini's eyes open, and she realizes that she was just having a scary dream. Nini gets drenched in sweat and thinks that now her whole life has become a game, where now if he makes even one wrong step, his game can be over forever. Then Nini gets a call from Bailu, who tells her that today his friend has called her to meet him for that mistress job. Nini also agrees with him, and Nini thinks in her mind, "I had eagerly waited for this day, and I also want to see it. After all, who are you mixing with?" Then the scene shifts, and we see Nini meeting Bailu. Bailu takes her along in her car, and Nini starts paying close attention to all the routes Bailu is driving through. After a while, Bailu brings Nini to meet Mr. Feng. Mr. Feng looks Nini up and down, then reaches out his hand to her, saying, "You're even more beautiful than I expected." As Nini shakes his hand, Mr. Liu starts running his fingers over her hand, causing Bailu to tell that Mr. Feng really likes Nini. But Nini, feeling nervous, pulls her hand away from Mr. Feng and pulls it back. Then Mr. Feng tells Nini, "I really like you. That's why you have to come with me right now, and in return, I'm ready to pay you." Hearing this, Nini is completely shocked. So we see Ethan finding out about Nini. His assistant tells him that Nini went out with Bailu this morning, and they found out that Bailu took her to meet a guy at a hotel. Hearing this, Ethan's face turns red with anger. The glass in his hand breaks because of his rage, badly injuring his hand. He then asks his secretary, "So Nini went to meet some guy today?" Then Ethan thinks to himself, "This time, how should I punish you, Nini?" Then the scene shifts, and 2 days later, we see Bailu bringing Nini to a mansion. Nini is really nervous at that moment. Bailu stops right there, and the butler takes Nini inside. As soon as Nini enters the room, the butler closes the door from outside, making her even more anxious. She tries to open the door. Nini realizes that Bailu has tricked her and trapped her. She grabs a bowl in her hands. Just then, Nini realizes that someone is opening the door. Out of fear, Nini's hands start trembling. She thinks to herself, "No matter who you are, I won't let anything happen to me, no matter what." Ethan will never hurt her. That's why Ethan says, "It's been days since I last saw you." Then Ethan starts coming into the room. Nini follows him and asks, "What are you doing here?" Ethan replies, "What do you mean, what am I doing here? Do you even realize whose house you're in right now?" Nini thinks to herself, maybe Bailu has tricked Ethan too. Then Ethan says, "I did all this for you. Why are you here instead of being with me? So, should I call you a hero who came all the way to another country just to take revenge for your sister?" Hearing this, Nini is completely shocked and asks Ethan, "If you already know everything, then why are you asking me?" Then Ethan moves closer to Nini, takes her hand and says, "Maybe I've been too gentle with you until now. You've been out playing alone for so many days that you've forgotten who you belong to, Nini." Suddenly, Ethan pulls Nini close, lifts her into his arms, and sits her down on the nearby table. Then, Ethan, as he comes closer, showing his claim over her, says, "Why did you leave me and run away? Did you only use me for 40 million? Then Ethan replies, "I had something really important to do." Ethan wipes Nini's lipstick off with his fingers and says, "Do you know how hard it was for me to gather the courage to get this far? How much effort and time it took just to reach Bailu? I have no one else in this world. It took so much guts for me to get this far. You're crazy for all this." She just can't understand it at all. Nini completely breaks down. Her face is all red from crying non-stop. Seeing this, Ethan's heart melts too, and he tries to wipe the tears from her eyes. Then Ethan gives her some water to help her calm down, but she gets upset with Nathan and refuses to take the water. Seeing this, Ethan sighs deeply. The same Ethan who was so ruthless just now becomes equally caring. Then Ethan says to her, "All right, I'll investigate your sister's case." Hearing this, Nini looks at Ethan and she asks him, "Will you really help me?" Then Ethan says, "When your punishment is over." Then she asks Nathan, "How many days will it take to finish my punishment?" Ethan replies, "1 month." Hearing this, Nini starts crying loudly again. Poor Ethan's heart melts again, and he tells Nini, "Okay, let's make it a week." After hearing this, Nini goes completely quiet, and Ethan says, "For a week, you can't leave this house for any reason." Then the scene shifts, and we see Nini asking the maid about Ethan. The maid tells Nini that Ethan has gone out for some work and will be back soon.
Next, we see Nini touring Ethan's house with the butler. After seeing the entire house, Nini is amazed and thinks, "I thought Ethan was rich, but I had no idea he was this rich." That's why Nini asks the butler. Nini asks Ethan what exactly he does. Butler tells Nini that the young master has many businesses. He even has a research center where they work on artificial wombs. Hearing this, Nini is completely shocked. She feels like the ground has slipped from beneath her feet because her sister's death was also connected to a research center like this. Terrified, Nini starts sweating and wonders if Ethan is behind Beilu, the person she works for. Just then, Nini sees Ethan coming right towards her. She thinks in her mind that Ethan has played a big game with her. For him, eliminating me is like eliminating an ant. Ethan looks at her and asks her, "What are you thinking about?" Mary angrily tells Nathan that "I don't want to play with you anymore. If you're going to end my game, do it now." Ethan doesn't understand anything and asks Nini why would he do this. Then Ethan comes close to Nini and holds her chin and turns her face towards him. At that moment, his anger was clearly visible in Nini's eyes. And she yells at Ethan, "Who the hell are you and why are you hiding your identity like this?" Ethan replies, "When did I ever hide who I am from you?" Then, pushing Nathan away angrily, she says, "I know everything about you, so what exactly do you do?" Ethan says, "You look really cute when you're angry." Nini's face turns red with anger and she slaps Ethan, but Ethan just smiles differently seeing that. Nathan is about to slap her, but just then Ethan grabs her hand and says to Nini, "You don't even really know me yet, and you're already accusing me like this." Nini tries to pull her hand away from Ethan, but Ethan holds her hand tight and pulls her closer. Then, gently stroking her cheeks, he asks, "Am I really such a bad person in your eyes?" Nini doesn't say anything in response. Then, Ethan moves closer and kisses her. In the next scene, we see Ethan and Nini. He forces her to sit on his lap and says to her, "You think I am a crazy and bad person because I'm going to break your hopes because I am not as bad as you think I am." Then she angrily says to Nathan, "What do you think you can fool me so easily? You are the only one who knows about artificial women. That's why don't tell me that this is a coincidence." Then Ethan says that this is not a coincidence because my data was stolen during the research itself. He had gone and I just found out about it today. Then Nathan says, "So what you're saying is the person who stole your data, the one I've been looking for, is the same person you're a victim of?" Ethan replies, "You're right, we're meant to stick together." Then Nathan says, "No one's going to trust you. What proof do you have for this?" At that moment, Nathan sees the truth in Ethan's eyes and thinks to herself that even if Ethan isn't a perfect guy, he's never hurt anyone. Trusting him, she then speaks to him. "You said you would help me find out the truth about my sister." Ethan bows his head and answers in the affirmative and tells her, "I will definitely do what I promised you, but right now I have more important work." Then Ethan wakes her up from her sleep and takes her to the dining table and, while serving food in Nini's plate, says to her, "You have lost your weight again." Then she tells Nathan that now I want to know about my sister. Ethan says the organization is like a training center from a distance, but in reality, they do all kinds of bad things inside. They take advantage of the helplessness of poor students and send them to rich clients. Even after that, they do not spare those poor students. Rather, their organs are sold. After hearing this, Nini's eyes widen in tears. Further, Ethan tells him that his sister was also selected by a similar client, and after that, she was given the same fate as happens with other people. After hearing this, Nini breaks down completely. His eyes fill with tears. Nini starts crying bitterly. Seeing this, Ethan playfully grabs her hand, pulls her closer to himself, and makes her sit on his lap. She says bitterly that all this happened because of me. My sister came here to give me a good life, and she had to face all this. Then Ethan hugs Near. She hugs Nathan, and while caressing Nathan's hair, he tells her that it's not your fault. Then Ethan wipes Nini's tears with his hands and tells her that I will help you in bringing out the truth about that organization.
I will do it so that your sister can get justice. After hearing this, Nini gets surprised and asks Ethan, why do you want to help me? Then Ethan grabs Nini's waist and tells her, I don't want you to get into any trouble. This is all very dangerous, and I don't want any harm to happen to you. Then Ethan snorts, and while caressing her cheeks, asserts his rights over her and tells her, you are my person. Then we see that both of them spend the night with each other. Ethan, keeping a file in front of him, he tells him that it contains all the details of the organization. Whatever they did to your sister and other students is in it. After reading that file, Nini is surprised and asks Ethan, where did you get all this from? Then Ethan tells Nini that I did not have to work hard for all these things because I too have been collecting all the details about that organization for the last 2 months. And I also know that you went to that old man Feng. After hearing this, Nini Pudi, she gets shocked, and her jealousy was clearly visible in Ethan's eyes too. That's why Nini comes close to Ethan and sits on his lap and places Ethan's hand on her waist, and while convincing him, she puts her hand on his shoulders and tells him that at that time I had no other choice, and I was going to run away from there anyway. Then the ether speaks to Nini. You thought in your little mind that if you could not run away from there, then you also know how scared I was, and that I would have to always find Bai Lu on the way to get you out of there and bring you to my home. Had to get rid of it for good. Hearing this, Nini looks at Ethan shocked and asks, what did you do with Bai Lu? Ethan smiles, leans close to her ear and says, I ended Bai Lu's game once and for all. After hearing this, Nini goes completely quiet. Ethan then asks her, are you scared? Nini replies, not at all, because Bai Lu used to do the same thing. Hearing this from Nini, Ethan gently strokes her cheeks with his hands and, smiling, says, honestly, now I've started liking you even more. As Ethan says this, the scene fades out and shifts, and a few days later, we see that Ethan hasn't come home for several days. That's why Nini is waiting for him. Just then, Ethan's assistant arrives and tells Nini that the boss will take some time to return. Then Nini says to Assistant Lee, it's okay, if you're free, why don't you have dinner with me? Assistant Lee replies, if the boss finds out about this, he'll cut off both my hands. Then Nini says, Ethan is truly a madman. Then Assistant Lee, Nini, says, it is not so. Has your boss ever told you about your mother? And because of this, Ethan's life was never easy. Since childhood, his mother only used him for her own benefit. Then we see in a flashback when Ethan was a child and he went to his mother crying because he had lost his puppy. When his mother came to know about this, she ended the puppy's game in front of Ethan, speaking to Ethan, if you love someone and he or she wants to go away from you, this is what you should do with him. In the next scene, we see that Ethan is with his friend. His mother comes to call him. Like any normal child, Ethan tells his mother that he's just playing and will return after some time. But his mother doesn't like this at all. She tells Ethan that now you will get punishment. And the next day, Ethan comes to know that his friend is no more in this world. Ethan was a kid who was scared to death. His mother tells him that whenever you saw if you don't agree with me, I will punish you in this way. The scene now cuts to the present, and Nini's eyes fill with tears when she learns about Ethan. Then Nini hears Ethan's voice. Ethan says, what are you thinking about? As soon as Miri sees Ethan in front of her, she runs close to him and suddenly hugs him. Ethan doesn't understand anything, and he also starts hugging. Nini tells Ethan that I was thinking about you only. Then, while caressing Ni's hair, Ethan says to her, I missed you too.
Nini thinks that Ethan is also a victim who has gone through many things since childhood. Then, looking into Ethan's eyes, she tells him, "I've started liking you." After listening to Nini's words, a smile appears on Ethan's face, and he tells Nini that he has prepared a gift for you. Then Ethan calls Nini, "It's not enough for me," and picks Nini up in his lap and kisses her and tells her, "Tell me I love you." Nini's heart starts beating loudly, and she also agrees with Ethan and says, "I love you" to Ethan. In this way, this drama has a happy ending. If you like this drama explanation, then please subscribe my channel. And yes, don't forget to click on the bell icon so that you don't miss such interesting dramas. With this, I will leave and meet you next drama explanation.